Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You guys sent over some really interesting stuff about Kotak Mahindra Bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they had a pretty major overhaul of their onboarding process.
Yeah.
They took it from like kind of a mess to something that runs super smoothly now.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like the key was pretty much putting the whole onboarding process on autopilot.
Makes sense. I mean, I think we've all had those first days at a new job where it felt like, a bit chaotic or just underwhelming.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I think a lot of companies miss the mark when it comes to onboarding, but it's such a crucial first impression.
Right. And that's why what Kotak Mahindra Bank did is so interesting. It's like they turned onboarding from this thing that everyone dreads into a system that actually makes their company culture stronger. And I've got our expert here to break it all down with us.
Well, I think the big thing is a bad onboarding experience can really make a new hire start to question their decision. Like, did I make the right choice joining this company? And that's not the kind of start anyone wants.
Yeah, you want people to feel excited and welcomed, not second-guessing themselves before they even get started.
Exactly. And when onboarding is done well, it sets a totally different tone. New hires feel confident, engaged, and like they're really part of the team from day one.
Okay, so let's get into the details. The material you sent over paints a pretty clear picture of how their old onboarding process was. Consistency seems like it was a huge problem, with different departments kind of doing their own thing.
Right, like a patchwork system, yeah.
Yeah, some new hires were getting these amazing welcome kits, and others were like, wait, am I forgotten about?
It's crazy how those little inconsistencies can send such a strong message. Like if you're a new employee in marketing and you get this big welcome package, but someone starting in finance gets nothing, that's got to feel pretty bad.
Totally, yeah. And it makes people question if the company values them equally.
For sure. It's like they're sending mixed messages about who matters more.
And on top of that, the article mentions how overwhelmed HR was with just the logistics of it all. Scheduling, tracking deliveries. It sounds like they were spending more time on those tasks than actually connecting with new hires.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day. Spreadsheets, checklists, making sure the right packages go to the right people.
Right, and when that happens, you lose sight of the bigger picture, the human side of things.
Exactly. And that's a missed opportunity because when HR has the time to build relationships with new hires, to really make them feel welcomed and supported, that's when you start to see the real magic happen.
So Kotak Mahindra Bank decided enough was enough. Time for a complete onboarding overhaul.
That's great.
Yeah, they set some pretty clear goals, too. They wanted consistency across the board, automation to streamline the process, and those welcome kits. They had to arrive like clockwork, no matter what department you were in.
It's smart. They didn't just try to fix little parts of the old system. They went back to the drawing board and really rethought the whole onboarding process from the ground up.
Totally.
Yeah.
They realized onboarding isn't just about paperwork and logistics. It's about creating a connection, making people feel like they belong, and setting the tone for a positive experience.
Exactly.
So how did they pull this off? Well, they partnered with a company called Mandala to automate everything. And they did this really cool thing where they linked their HRMS, their human resources management system, to Mandala's platform. And that's where the magic really started to happen.
Ah, so they're using technology to actually enhance the human touch, not replace it.
Exactly. By automating all the boring stuff, HR was free to focus on building relationships with new hires and creating a more welcoming environment.
Love that. So tell me how this automated workflow actually works. What's the step-by-step process?
Okay, so imagine this. A new hire's info gets entered into Kotak Mahindra Bank's HRMS system, and that triggers this whole automated sequence. Their job title, their address, what type of welcome kit they should get, all that data gets sent straight to Mandala.
Okay.
And Mandela takes it from there.
Right. So Mandala basically becomes the welcome committee, but powered by tech.
Exactly. They put together the right welcome kit, and they ship it directly to the new hire. And get this, they do it all within 48 hours. Plus, the new hire gets tracking info so they can follow their package's journey.
No more wondering, is my welcome package ever going to show up?
Exactly. It takes away all the guesswork and frustration. And I love how they paid attention to those little details that make people feel truly welcome.
It's the little things, right?
Absolutely. But there's something even more interesting here. It's not just about sending a welcome kit. It's about the different types of kits they've created.
Oh, tell me about this.
Yeah. So they realized that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really work for onboarding. Someone joining as a senior executive is going to have different needs and expectations than, say, a recent grad.
Makes sense. You want to cater to the individual.
Right. So they came up with these different tiers of welcome kits, each one tailored to a specific role and level of experience.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, we see you as an individual, and we put thought into making this onboarding experience unique to you.
That's awesome. So what's actually in these different kits? Give me some examples.
Okay, so let's say you're a new executive coming into the company. Your welcome kit might include a personalized note from the CEO, maybe an invitation to an exclusive mentorship program with other leaders, even some company swag that reflects your position.
Okay, very nice. Very personalized.
Right. Now, imagine you're a recent graduate. Their kit might focus more on company culture, team building activities, or even tips on navigating your first job in the corporate world.
I love that. It's all about making that new hire feel seen and understood and providing them with what they need to thrive.
Exactly. It goes way beyond just giving them some stuff. It's about setting them up for success right for the beginning.
And when you do that, you're not just impacting that individual, you're impacting the whole company. People who feel valued are more likely to be engaged, committed, and happy in their roles.
It's a win-win for everyone. HR gets to ditch the tedious tasks and focus on building real connections. New hires get this smooth and personalized experience. And the company as a whole benefits from a more engaged workforce.
Plus, you're saving money by getting rid of those inefficient processes, and you're building a stronger employer brand that's going to attract top talent. It's like this ripple effect of positive outcomes that starts with something as simple as onboarding.
It's really incredible how much thought they put into this. But they didn't stop there. They also made sure there's a feedback loop built into the whole process.
Oh, so they're not just assuming they got everything perfect right off the bat.
Exactly. They actively seek out feedback from new hires to see what's working, what could be better, and how they can keep refining the whole onboarding experience.
That's a sign of a company that's truly committed to continuous improvement.
Absolutely. It shows they're not just patting themselves on the back and calling it a day. They're always looking for ways to make things even better.
It's a really smart move. By constantly listening to their employees and adapting to their needs, they're building a culture of growth and innovation that's going to benefit everyone in the long run.
Okay, so they totally revamped their onboarding process. But did it actually make a difference? What were the results?
Well, the stuff you sent over suggests it was a home run.
Really? So what were some of the biggest changes they saw?
For one, HR was no longer drowning in a sea of logistics.
That's got to be a huge relief for them. I bet it frees them up to actually be more human with the new hires.
Exactly. They could actually focus on building relationships and creating that welcoming atmosphere. And on the new hire side, well, those welcome kits, they were showing up on time every time.
Makes sense. A late welcome package doesn't exactly scream, "We're thrilled you're here."
Right. It's all about that first impression, and it seems like it had a real impact.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They actually found that new hires who went through this new onboarding process, they felt much more like they belonged compared to the folks who went through the old system. And they were more likely to say they felt valued by the company.
Wow. So it wasn't just about making things more efficient. It really made a difference in how those new hires felt about being there.
That's impressive.
It really shows how important those early experiences are. When you make people feel welcome and valued right from the start, well, it just sets a better tone for everything that comes after.
And those personalized welcome kits we were talking about, I bet those played a big role in that.
Absolutely. Because they were tailored to each person's role and seniority level, it really sent the message that the company was paying attention to their individual needs. Not just treating them like another number in the system.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So it wasn't just about stuff in a box, it was about that personal touch. Exactly. And they actually went even further with the personalization. Like, they would pair new hires with onboarding buddies, but not just randomly. They would actually choose buddies based on shared interests or career paths, really try to make a thoughtful connection.
Wow, so they really took it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much thought they put into every detail.
It shows they really understood that onboarding is all about making people feel seen and understood, especially in a new environment where everything can feel kind of overwhelming. And, the material you sent over also mentions something about data security being improved because of the automation.
Oh, yeah. Can you tell me more about that? I'm curious.
Sure. I mean, think about all the personal info that gets shared during onboarding, addresses, social security numbers, stuff like that. There's always a chance something could go wrong. But by automating a lot of the process, Kotak Mahindra Bank really reduced the amount of, manual data handling, which means less risk of errors or data breaches.
All right, so they're not just thinking about efficiency, they're thinking about protecting people's information too. Smart. Did they do anything else for data security?
Yeah, actually, they did. They have a policy where all that personal data that's collected during onboarding gets automatically anonymized after 6 months. So even if a breach did happen, it would be much harder to trace that data back to any individual. It's like an extra layer of protection.
It sounds like they really thought of everything. They made the process smoother, more personalized, and more secure, all at the same time. Pretty impressive. What do you think other companies should take away from Kotak Mahindra Bank's experience? What's the big lesson here?
Well, I think there are a few important things to keep in mind. First, it shows that even those processes we think of as routine, the stuff we just do automatically without much thought, can be made way better with a little bit of creativity and the right technology. It's a good reminder to never just settle for, this is how we've always done it.
It's so easy to get stuck in that rut.
It really is. And, the second big takeaway for me is about personalization. They didn't just automate the onboarding, they used that automation to create a more individual experience for each new hire. And that seems to have made all the difference.
Yeah, it really goes back to that idea that people want to feel seen and understood, especially when they're starting something new. And, they were also really smart about building in that feedback loop.
Oh, right. That's the third key takeaway here. They didn't just implement all these changes and assume they had it all figured out. They were constantly asking new hires, what worked for you? What could be better? What would you change? It's about making sure that the process stays relevant and effective.
So they've basically created this onboarding process that's constantly learning and getting better, right?
Yeah, pretty much. They're not just setting it and forgetting it. They're actively trying to improve all the time. It's impressive.
It really is. And, what strikes me is that it's kind of inspiring. I mean, if they can take something like onboarding, which can be pretty boring, let's be honest, and make it so amazing, what else can we rethink? Like, what other processes in our own workplaces could we improve with a bit of fresh thinking and maybe some automation?
You're totally right. We get stuck in those ruts so easily, like this is how we've always done it, and we don't even question if there's a better way. Kotak Mahindra Bank shows us that there's always room for improvement.
So what's the big takeaway here for our listeners? What should they be thinking about after this deep dive?
Well, I would say think back to your own onboarding experiences. Did you have one that was amazing? Or maybe one that was, well, not so great? What made those experiences stand out? And how could things be different at your workplace? How could you make onboarding better for new hires?
Those are great questions to ask. And remember, it's not just about making life easier for HR. It's about setting new employees up for success from the moment they walk through the door.
Exactly. A good onboarding experience can impact everything. How happy employees are, how long they stay with the company, even how well they understand the company's culture.
So let's all take a page from Kotak Mahindra Bank's book, right? Let's challenge ourselves to rethink those everyday processes and see if we can find ways to make them better. Who knows, maybe we'll uncover some amazing opportunities.
I think that's the real lesson here. Sometimes the most exciting innovations come from questioning the ordinary and trying to do things differently.
That's a great point. And on that note, thanks so much for walking us through this fascinating case study.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, until next time.